time as I'm joined by the World Championship-bound Zuna from Team Vulcan. Tell me your first thoughts, because you guys clinched that final spot for World Playoffs.
It felt really good, you know. We weren't too excited because we did get knocked down, but against Dig, we already 4-0'd them in the season, so we knew if we played as bad as we did yesterday, we still would win. So we were really confident.
Fighting words. Yeah, I actually wanted to ask you about that. Normally see you very active and you win. Now you're kind of chill when you won. Why was that?
Because it was just to be expected, and beating Dig is probably the best feeling I can get, because it would have been nice to beat TSM and be in the finals, but I tried out top lane for Dig, and they didn't want me, so now I knocked them out of Worlds. It feels great.
That must feel great. Now, tell me how you regrouped after yesterday's loss versus TSM.
We all cried for a little bit in a corner, and then we came back, and then we were just like, we played really bad yesterday, but today's a new day, and if we lose this game, I had to uninstall Puzzles and Dragons. So now that we won, we're probably going to waste like $100 each on it. So that's always good.
Tell me about that first game coming into that one. What was your general game plan?
Our general game plan was to get Shen because they're really bad against it, and then they gave it to us, and then we knew that they would pick up Evelyn. And Crumbs loves to run Ignite on Evelyn, so we had a full CC team with Ashe, Zyra, TF, and Shen. So every single team fight, he would just die instantly, and he could never even get on us because he didn't have Flash. So they fell into our picks, and then we had Globals. And then Cutie Pie, if he doesn't have Ezreal, he's not a threat on any other hero, so we just abused that fact.
You weren't afraid of Cutie Pie at all, because he had a lot of CS in the first game as well.
Well, the thing is Graves, like, he probably had 150 more CS than me, but it's not like he can do anything. He couldn't attack anything. The only thing he can attack is Shen, and Shen probably had like 300 armor. So me hitting Karthus, Evelyn, and Kennen when he's only hitting a Shen, I'll kill all three of them before I kill Shen.
All right. And then going into game 2 where all the nerves gone, was just bringing home.
I felt like whoever won the first game pretty much won the whole thing, because once you win that first game, the crowd's on your side, and the other team's demoralized, and it just felt great.
And you finished them off. And you won the game, of course. Now, tell me a little bit about your season in total, because you guys were top of the league, and then coming into this one and getting knocked down initially, how did you experience all that?
Well, all in all, we definitely we did what we came out to do, just make it to Worlds. Like, it sucks we got knocked down, but in the beginning of Spring Split, we were 0, and now we're hero, so it feels great.
So what can we expect from Vulcan as you go into those World Playoffs and face some hard competition?
I think we're just going to chill on other games for a bit. And then not just that, since I went 0 to hero, your boy's about to go fat to fit.
Okay, finally, some words for the fans out here that have been screaming your name when you came up on the stage.
Thanks for all the fans that was cheering for us.
Thank you very much, Zuna, and congratulations. Great performance. All right, now I'll send it over to Freak and Kobe to get us set for the championship game.
Hey, thank you very much, Shocks. And now, once again, let's take a look at that playoff bracket. And with their win in the 3rd place match, Vulcan locked in their place at the Season 3 World Championship.
And coming up in the North American Championship match, the top-seeded Cloud9 takes on the 3rd seed TeamSoloMid for the title and a bye at the World Championship.
And if you guys want to watch Cloud9, TSM, and Vulcan take the stage and take on the world at the World Championship, you can still make it happen. There are some tickets still available for the group stage, semis, and quarterfinals going down across Los Angeles.
Better lock them down soon. They're going very fast. Head over to lolesports.com/tickets and pick up yours today.
And if you wonderful folks at PAX Prime are any indication, there's probably going to be a lot of TSM fans over at Worlds. And so far in Seattle, So far in Seattle, the crowd has been kind of the 6th member of TeamSoloMid, and given Darius and crew a bit of a home field advantage.
When I hear TSM, I feel so good inside. I just want to go and win.
TSM has an advantage because they're all yelling TSM.
When the crowd's just cheering for the other team constantly, it's kind of demoralizing me.
This is definitely a big morale boost. Morale is so important.
We feed off that energy. Every time we ace them, you hear them.
Anytime they get kills, you start hearing TSM, TSM.
When there's no soundproof booth, you can actually hear the audience in your mic. So that got pretty annoying.
So you don't really hear a dig chant, especially because it's hard to pronounce. You don't really hear dig, dig. That kind of sounds weird.
our fans are one of the biggest contributions for our team. It's like having a sixth person.
I don't think that'll really bother us. Usually the crowd doesn't get to us too much. It will be extra pressure, definitely.
We don't want all of our fans coming all the way up to PAX Prime from all over the world to disappoint them, you know? So we're really happy that we can make it to Worlds.
Yeah, see if they can keep themselves happy or make that quarterfinal.
Now, you know they came up with the name TSM, Team Solo Mid, because Reginald, even beta, would always call Solo Mid. That's the only thing he would play. Solo Mid, Solo Mid, Solo Mid. Now he's a top laner.
Oh.
What's up with that?
That did not go where I was expecting it. But you know, with Reggie playing a bunch of Twisted Fate still and Dyer's picking up Karthus, they've got 2 solo mid players on Team Solo Mid. You just got to give some more of those across the players. Zyro's a missional mid laner. Maybe we'll see Special pick that up. You never know. They could run 5 mages. Now, guys, you got to take a quick break, but when you return, it's time for the final matchup of the North American LCS Regional Playoffs. Cloud9 and Team Solo Mid take to the Rift for the North American title and a first-round bye at the World Championship. Stick around. We'll be back in 3.5 minutes.
back to the NALCS Regional Playoffs live from PAX Prime. Ladies and gentlemen, now it is time for the last match of the summer split. The championship game between the most dominant team in the LCS history and the team that's dominated North America since Season 1. It's Cloud9 versus TeamSoloMid.
Yeah, and while both of these teams have already guaranteed themselves a spot in the World Championship, winning the North American title means a bye out of the group stage and a spot in the top 8 already.
And coming into this best-of-5 title fight, the clear favorite has to be Cloud9.
Yeah, yesterday they overcame a bit of a shaky start against Dignitas to just roll to 2 quick wins in a row, sweeping the semifinal series.
But this is nothing new for Cloud9,
No.
the team that has set records this summer for both the longest winning streak at 13 games and the most wins in a single split with 25.
And let's not forget, Riv, 4 of those 25 wins came against TeamSoloMid. Reginald and crew have yet to beat Cloud9 this summer. Meteos, by the way, has just bounced on him. 3 times he's gotten to play Zach, once Nasus. And he, of course, has a pretty impressive KDA against TSM, 14 kills and 56 assists. Plus, in 3 of those wins, Sneaky Elimination had the undefeated Ashe Zyra combo for them. Sneaky in particular has had his way with TeamSoloMid, and especially Wild Turtle. He has triple the kills and assists of TSM's AD carry.
And while Sneaky, Meteos, and the rest of Cloud9 have been raining losses down on Reggie and crew all summer, this isn't the same TeamSoloMid that played during the regular season. This is playoff TSM. As the stage has gotten bigger, once again, so has TSM's game. TeamSoloMid has yet to lose a match during these playoffs, and they come into these series playing the best they have all summer long.
I think the best way we could put it is TSM looked crisp against Vulcan. We've talked about TSM having that on button before. Once again, they found a way to push it. And this time it's been Wild Turtle and actually Dyrus who've answered the call here. Wild Turtle, he got hot at the right time. After struggling for most of the summer, he finally looks like that AD carry who just burst onto the scene and carried TSM to the spring split title. Then, of course, there's always Dyrus. He's been nailing his Rumble ults, initiating on Zach, and just killing it with a non-zombie Karthus. Plus, he had that awesome high five with the cameraman on day 1. And then, you know, he always steals the mic away from Shock.
Absolutely. Dyrus knows he'll always have to keep stepping up his game if he's going to help carry TeamSoloMid to a victory against North America's top team. But Lemonation and crew are not taking this match lightly. They are well aware of TeamSoloMid's tendency to rise to the occasion when playing on the big stage.
Today against C9, it's definitely going to be the hardest match.
Cloud9 is a tough cookie. We haven't been able to dunk them once.
Our team has been playing really well these playoffs, and if we just bring that to the table, I think we can finally beat C9 in a real match.
They've been playing extremely well this entire past week. Like, when it matters, they just put all their shit to the side and just play the game extremely well.
It seems to be that they just step it up when they need to, but I'm not so sure if they'll be able to do it this time because of how dominant we've been.
We both really know how each other plays, so it'll be a hard match no matter what. I think it'll be close games. I don't think it'll be 3-0 either way, but we'll definitely do our best, and it should be good games.
When we play against each other, things that don't happen usually in games happen. It's either going to be a really quick stomp and one of us is going to play really badly, or we're both going to play really well and it's going to go into like a very, very like hard-fought game.
This is really our chance to show that we still can beat them when it counts. And today is when it really counts.
Coming up to these intense moments, it's not something we see all the time that both teams are giving each other a high amount of respect.
Yeah, these guys have respected themselves, each other, for a long time. They both live very close to each other, actually, in San Jose. They have a lot of ties between the teams. They scrim each other more than anyone else, and they know each other.
All right, with that, let's take a look at the lineups in this championship series. In the blue font, it's Cloud9. In that top lane is Balls, Meteos in the jungle. High and mid lane, Sneaky on AD carry with Lemonation as usual, backing him up on support.
And in the red font this time, it is TeamSoloMid. Reginald in that top lane seat. The Oddrun in the jungle. Dyrus in the middle. Wild Turtle on AD carry. And X Special on support.
What a cheer. The featured matchup in this championship series is the Rumble in the solo lane of the top. Balls from Cloud9 versus TeamSoloMid's Dyrus.
You can see they're already fighting against each other with a chance here. And these guys are 2 of the best Rumble players in the NALCS. Balls destroyed Dyrus on Rumble in 1 week. And ever since then, Dyrus has actually been working to level up his Rumble skills.
Yep.
Yesterday, it was Dyrus who had a couple perfectly placed equalizers to melt Vulcan and place TSM in this game. It'll be very interesting to see how much of a priority Rumble is and whether the fight between these two start in Champion Select.
Well, we're about to head into that. Well, while we're still sitting here in the calm before the storm, let's see which team you guys at home and here on your phones even pick to win it all.
Yeah.
According to LOLesports.com, 59% of you think that TeamSoloMid will win their second split in a row and earn the bye at Worlds. And that might be the first time C9 hasn't been on the top of the percentage.
Yeah, Cloud9 with the 25-3 regular season record and the 2-0 sweep they had yesterday has been rolling this entire split. We can't say season because they weren't even in the spring split.
Nope.
That's how quickly they approached this scene. But we know the fan support for TSM. Sometimes people are just voting for their favorite team here with those things, and the 59% I think reflects that.
Fans can always be taken away as well. I'm sure some teams are going to win some fans here. Hopefully not lose too many, but both of them are going to try their hearts out. You heard, even I think it was like Reginald and Dyrus and everybody saying yesterday that a lot of the play comes from the fans as well.
Yeah, and for TeamSoloMid, that's especially true.
Absolutely.
They live off of this energy, and it's actually Cloud9 that's experiencing this. I mean, we've been here all week, Rib, and I don't think the room has ever been as charged as before this game. Even 15 minutes before, they're walking out on stage and setting up, and it's like someone just qualified for Worlds. It's crazy.
The Vladimir out, the Ari, as the bands begin to flow in with the 6 to go. Now with 3 left on that list, TeamSoloMid has focused a lot with the swaps and giving Reginald more control in the picks and bans for the entire strategy. And it has started to come to work for them now, but before it hadn't. So there has been big changes that TSM is coming in on, which those with them still right behind them can be affecting in a bad way.
And there's a lot of history behind every single one of these bans already. The Ash basically forces Cloud9 into a slightly different team composition, and it's strange for Cloud9 because they've had to play, or they've been able to play so much Ash, so they haven't been forced away from it that often. And since they can't bring that team fight initiation from the AD carry anymore, it's actually going to force Balls, Meteos, or High to bring extra initiation into these team fights.
They do get Meteos' Elise off the bat. We have seen him beaten and battered in the early part of the game and still come back to be the jungler on top. And I believe that game he might have had the most gold.
Yeah, Meteos at one point in the game has the most gold. He actually does that fairly frequently on the jungle because of how amazingly he farms and how much presence he can have in the game. Rumble is something that escaped the pick and ban thus far, as well as Shen. So there's a lot on the board for these two guys. I really want to see if TSM's going for their old style Season 2 strategy, which they absolutely could do. They could do a Karthus Shen Nocturne if they actually wanted to and try to overtake Cloud9 that way. But Cloud9, they've had a whole couple years to learn that strategy and watch it, and they've actually never had to play against it during the LCS. TSM has a lot of options open, though.
TSM banning out that Fizz, but the Vladimir is gone as well. 2 champions that Cloud9 tried their hand at yesterday as they kind of swapped things around to get their victories. The Fizz was enough to pay respect to, so we're going to see High for probably one of his just easy champions to go on. Doesn't have the Zed or the Ari to pick, so we'll have to see what he goes for.
So what does he have left, right? Because there's been a lot that he's been denied already. He's been, the 2 champions he was spamming before these playoffs started were Ari games and Fizz games. The other champion that he's always been good at is Zed. He also played a lot of Kha'Zix, but hasn't played it since the Kha'Zix changes. What's happened in this pick ban phase is High has actually been denied his most played champions, or at least most recently practiced champions. Not sure what he's going to be going with. Maybe he could, like, we don't know how versatile High really is because he's never hyper-tunneled
He's had that Twisted Fate, and it would help against Nocturne get global.
But at this point, exactly, this is the Kennen that he's picking because since they don't have the Ashe, High is going to be the one leading the charge, and this is their fill to get the crowd control and lock people up in those Rumble ultimates. This is Cloud9 just getting their stuff once again.
And High himself, I feel like he's not thrown off of a comfort level too much because he says any champion that he gets, in his words, I just want to go ham. I just want to go in. I just want to fight. That's what I want to do. And with Kennen, he can absolutely do that.
Yeah, that's, once again, High's style and Cloud9's style. But this leaves up TSM's potential Season 2 strategy, maybe a Season 3 strategy here if they decided to go with Karthus on Dyrus, one of their 2 Karthai players, and also Orianna. I really wonder if there it is. That's the top lane Karthus. TSM's going big.
The double AP comps have been super strong this weekend in their victories. Not many falling behind. We'll have to see if they can do it once again. Special to be picking out what would be going on to the AD carry for Wild Turtle here. His Caitlyn is still open, his anything is still open, but that lays the same for C9.
And this means for TSM that they have a very weak tank line, which means they will be vulnerable to crisp initiations from Cloud9. Whenever both teams pick as much damage as we're seeing between Cloud9 and TSM, it really all becomes about who can strike faster. And based off of yesterday's games, both of these teams can strike really fast. Cloud9 had some of the smoothest team fights I've ever seen against Dignitas, whereas TSM just destroyed Vulcan, who looked great today. Syra Varus. That's interesting here.
That's really interesting. It's a close range Ash arrow that spreads.
They'll still be able to lead initiations in with it. Except now they're a little bit more reliant on Lemon Nation landing his E first.
Right.
But that is still just a boatload of control to allow Balls' equalizer to just shred through team fights. Varus and Ashe are fairly close to each other in the things they can bring. Ashe is a little bit more on the utility side, but Varus can add a lot of the same things. We haven't seen much of it from Sneaky, but it still absolutely can work in the same role.
Sneaky's been known to pull out the Jace as well, so he's well versed in obviously many AD carries.
Everything.
We'll have to see what he can do. I want to say that he has a Varus game under his belt within the split, so it's obviously not new to him, and it looks like Wild Turtle is going to want the Vayne. This is actually a great pick against the Kennen as well, because he will be rushing down that Vayne, and the Condemn may be saving her life with that ultimate from the Slicing Maelstrom.
Yeah, it is a very aggressive pick, I have to say, for Wild Turtle, only because there is so much area of effect damage that he has to deal with from Cloud9. Wild Turtle basically has to play flawlessly if he wants to get around all the crowd control from this Cloud9 composition. It's a pick that he needs to get ahead to for it to work. TSM is bringing hyper amounts of damage in pretty much every role right now, and they're really going to have to rely on their mechanics to make it through the onslaught of Cloud9 utility.
If we think about it, with the Wild Turtle clips that we saw were him, acing the hole from long range, a headshot over the wall, he's, like you said, going to be have to be in the fight this time, and all eyes on him because him, Dyrus, playing so well coming into these games,
really stepped up.
Everybody else is picking it up when someone else doesn't, which has already been since the beginning a motto for Cloud9. So these guys are about to clash in our NA finals.
And I was talking to Dan Din, one of TSM subs and Reginald's brother, before this game, and he was actually saying how they're feeling very confident coming into this. Reginald thought they had a 90% chance of qualifying for Worlds and a greater than 50% chance of actually winning this whole tournament, because their scrims against Cloud9 have been progressively getting better and better since the start of the season. He was saying at the start of the season they'd like win 2, lose 15, but now they're starting to take more than they lose, so they're really trending upwards.
Well, from what we saw, remember at TeamSoloMid in the spring split, they would kind of do that. We're going to sit around your tower and accelerate that kill. Well, we heard Scar say yesterday, Cloud9 plays to accelerate the game. So again, another strategy that clashes between TeamSoloMid and Cloud9. They are, like you said, practice partners for a long time. They live very close to each other. These guys are in each other's heads, but we are now on to the Rift. Riv and Jad here to bring you the NALCS Summer Finals. TeamSoloMid versus Cloud9.
And the bye is so important for these guys. Really, since the start of the split, these guys have wanted to play each other in the finals. You can tell the fans wanted TSM here too.
I think Cloud9 may butt in sometime soon if the fans feel they need to pick up the chant, but they actually do not. Cloud9's going to go quiet on this one and try to make it stealth. Right now, showing pretty much the AD in mid. They are quite spread out for an early game here, and showing movement to 3 towards the bottom, 2 in that top side. They're going to have to be very careful if they choose to exit towards that tri-brush. Dyrus is going to have to make a quick exit. Finding Wild Turtle.
Yeah, that was a very aggressive invade. They got the lane ward in, essentially, so they're going to be able to see which lane Dyrus goes towards. Because the Varus is such a strong laning champion, Cloud9 actually wants a 2v2 against Wild Turtle and X Special, and I believe TSM is going to be wanting to 1v2. Dyrus is very good at 1v2ing with Karthus. This is definitely what TSM wants.
Dyrus gets that early ward in. We'll probably see them trying to force and pressure that with the smite down. Sneaky and Cloud9 are going to do just that, making their way in. Going to play the Fog of War here for a bit on Lemonation side to Grasping Root over the wall, but nobody will show. Nice clean wards all around for everyone. none the wiser really on positioning just yet. I may have seen that special heading towards the top lane, but he's hugging the wall.
And this is in such stark contrast to the game that TSM played against COG, where neither of the teams put wards in each other's jungle. There are 5 wards on TSM's side of the map that Cloud9 has placed there, because TSM was giving ground and Cloud9 wanted to know exactly where TSM was going at the start of this game.
Heading towards the top side. Sneaky, they're not going to miss too much CS. It's only going to be about 3, 4, or 5.
What they are going to be missing, though, is the earliest access to level 2. Because they're reactively going up there, the wave has been started by Wild Turtleneck Special, which means they're already going to be a little bit ahead of experience. And that actually might turn the tide, so that is not that bad of a 2v2 lane for TSM to be involved with.
And this is TSM doing a little bit of homework as well, because that was an Explorer ward that was placed up towards the top side of that. But they hugged the wall so they couldn't see, which actually is giving them that bit of the level 2 now advantage, because they didn't know which way they had to run. So very well played there, watching everybody ward this weekend by TSM.
And I wonder whether the junglers are going to realize how heavily they've been warded and just farm. Meteos, you saw rush level 3. He got the smiteless pull on his red buff and then smited his own blue. So he is there as quickly as possible, but now he's going back to clear the rest of his jungle. Odd One is actually doing pretty much the exact same thing. They're just mirroring each other with their jungle clears right now because they recognize how heavily warded their jungles were.
Not too much more movement for the Odd One than there is coming out onto Meteos. Meteos is usually one to stay in the jungle, as we say, until he is sure something can be effective on the gank, whether it's a flash, the kill to come in. Good pressure. Cloud9's doing what they usually try to do and pressure all those lanes to the turret, which is old TSM strategy. Get up 400 gold in the jungle, pressure so hard that the jungler really has chaotic places to go.
And at this point, it's just about who has stronger laning champions. Because the junglers know they're warded, and generally, wherever the Odd One shows, it's going to be reactively just pulled back by Cloud9. I gotta say, the Odd One has a pretty tall task keeping pace with Meteos. Meteos is one of the most efficient junglers I've seen in a really long time, always knowing when his gank can work and just running straight for it. Very rarely will you see him hesitate on a gank, which is extremely different from the Odd One's playstyle. The Odd One has been known to wait in a brush for 50 seconds at a time just to get that killing gank. It's a big difference in playstyle, and it's almost kind of testing which one's going to work for this one. They're not going to. We'll see if Odd One changes his playstyle to deal with Meteos, but that's not what he's done in the past.
Keep an eye on the Odd One and Meteos, but we have to remember our matchup as well. That top lane, which is actually going to match up for us, Dyrus versus Balls, and that is the Rumble versus Dyrus again. Balls having that. Dyrus playing Rumble lately because of his engagement and that rendezvous they had during the summer split. So he knows exactly, more or less, what he's going up against now. So that lane should be better for Dyrus. Right now, they are 26 to 24 in CS. So on the 1v1, kudos to both. Mid lane still very slow, and with the mashed up lanes, again, this is what we're going to get probably for the next few minutes. We do see Meteos hugging up back to his camps, but he may not have anything after this wolf, so we may see him for the first time.
Even though the lanes are matching up evenly right now, it's not because these teams are passive with each other. We will see in this game some very brisk engagements. They will be going straight for each other. We just look at the team of Cloud9. Everyone actually has the ability to start their own fight, including Balls, so they're going to be doing that frequently and often. Whereas TSM, with Nocturne Karthus, they're going to be syncing those ultimates up, and they're going to be going for kills fairly frequently with them. It's just this laning phase means we have to wait for it to happen. They know each other so well, and the junglers were warded early. We haven't seen much action. But now that the wards have all kind of dissipated, we're seeing Meteos trying to make some aggressive moves, getting some enemy territory down, and he's looking to make a play.
That is absolutely a deep ward here at 6 minutes into the game. They now have complete vision on the Odd One. Now, I don't think that one, obviously, to go after the Odd One, but to be in the opposite position of him, knowing where he is, and he's going to try to be on the other side of the world.
Well, a ward like that on the Odd One will give lanes Nocturne vision in a sense, because you can't ward the river or regular brush wards to actually stop Nocturne ganks since his gap close is so long with Paranoia. But if you can see him taking a jungle camp, you can reactively know where he's going to be and prepare for him to arrive.
Still very slow. The hard hats are on for both Cloud9 and TeamSoloMid. We're in a best of 5 here for the finals There is a lot of time for these guys to be playing, and they know to keep pace right now. You can't get too overreactive. If you throw everything out right now, you get inside your own head, and it does not go well. We've got to make sure that all the calls are coming out. We've heard TeamSoloMid at times. If the communication stops, things become chaotic, and that can plague any team.
And if I had to pick a team's strengths right now, I'd say Cloud9 is extremely strong, frighteningly so in the mid game, whereas TSM more so wants the actual late game to arrive. Because Cloud9 will absolutely excel in dragon fights before TSM has huge amounts of items, just because Rumble plus Kennen locked down with Desire of Air stuff is just too much for TSM to handle, and it means when they do turret dive, Cloud9's going to be able to chase multiple turrets and really just get everyone down if they get the edge in a fight. But if the game gets too late, they drop the Kennen ult and the Rumble ult and not necessarily take down Dyrus or the Odd One right away, and then Wild Turtle's Vein would chase down people. The Requiem would finish them off from Dyrus's Karthus, and it would go that way for TSM. So it's a big lull here at the start of the game. I think Cloud9's going to be the first team to try and make a move, and TSM's maybe going to counter it, but most likely look to survive.
Well, the lanes have already been swapped out here. The tricks trying to be made by Cloud9, answered over by TeamSoloMid. Dyrus heading to the top lane. No teleport, but they do have the global damage coming from Karthus and Odd One, so that dragon is definitely going to be in their favor if they choose to do so without the Rumble ultimate. But Cloud9 has always turned games around at dragon. It's almost like just a point they wait for in the game.
Yeah, and these teams are completely in sync with each other. They lane swap bottom at the same time. What this means for Balls, and he's very good at making this dance, is Dyrus can impact a potential dragon fight with his ultimate. But Balls has to roam down, almost sit in the river after shoving up so he can make his move down in case TSM does rush for a dragon. It's a very difficult situation for him to be in, but he's pretty used to being in this role.
A lot of pings going down. We'll see if Dyrus chooses to back off his lane.
Oh,
special wild target hit up Meteos. They're going for the one that can repel. Most of the damage going on to him. They go back onto Lemon Nation. The focus is a little scattered right now, but that's what they were looking for. The Requiem comes down. The 1-for-1 on the supports.
And High wasn't even in that fight. Cloud9 got the 1-for-1 and the first blood, by the way, without their solo laners being involved, whereas TSM had about 4.5 people in that fight because Dyrus used his ultimate to join as well. This actually gives Cloud9 a huge opportunity to push up and maybe get the first objective of the game.
Gold lead nicely in their favor.
High's got ultimate!
Oh, he flies in, Wild Turtle. That's the condemn we were talking about, but he closed the gap fast enough. Got the ignite back on. Sneaky very low. Odd One picks that up. High's going to be in range. That rush is on quite a big cooldown right now. He does have two. Procs the third, gets the stun, hits the shuriken.
Double kill for High on Kennen means big things for his roaming capability throughout this game. Odd One did well to get a kill back, but that is a win for Cloud9.
It's a deja vu, just like with his Fizz play, going in hard, coming out with the double kill, knowing what he could do this early in the game, and he picked up not the Seeker's arm guard first, but he threw right down to the needlessly large rod to make an impact like he likes to.
Right now, he's not feeling threatened by Reginald's Orianna, so he's going big right away. He wants the Zani's Hourglass as quickly as possible, and since he had the gold breakpoint to buy the incredibly expensive needlessly large rod, he went for it early on in the game. Now remember, now the ultimate from Karthus is down, so Cloud9 can just rush this dragon and have confidence. Equalizer is still up if TSM tries to contest this one, which means it's a bad idea to try and stop Cloud9.
Cloud9 takes their very much so coveted dragon that they like to grab. 3-2. Somehow they have now a 2,000 gold lead. That kill is in their favor. The return to the bottom lane. Cloud9 getting a little support from the crowd.
Well, they're definitely off to a good start. This is, you know, Cloud9 has actually shown that they don't even need to come out with a good start to turn around the game. But a 2,000 gold lead here, 11 minutes in. First dragon, fairly consistent turret pressure. Things are definitely looking up for them. You can see Sneaky is ahead of Wild Turtle in items right now. High is obviously ahead of Reginald because of his involvement in the turret dive in the bottom lane. And of course, Meteos is actually getting farmed with by the Odd One. So the Odd One is changing his jungle style a little bit in order to try and keep pace with Meteos. We've seen too many people just get completely obliterated by Meteos' farm. Darius has to watch out for this dive.
Going in on a dive. He tries to throw down the Defile, but High is going to be able to waltz out of this one with that exhaust on him. Oh, one more late waste. Does he have the Yordle shoes? He what? What? Oh my word.
He's got his Nikes on. He's able to dodge every single one of those. Crescendo gets Lemon.
Oh man, I thought that was going for Sneaky, but Lemon was just on the outside, and they sing it down and they put him to bed. Wild Turtle trying to get to that's pretty low health for a turret dive, and he backs off just in time.
Great crowd control chain by TSM to kind of get one back. Cloud9 had the lockdown in the top lane, TSM had the lockdown in the bottom lane, and now they have 3 people down here. Cloud9 doesn't have the people that actually rotate down to this turret quickly and get a defense.
So Meteos trying to frenzy up on the mid turret. They are going to try and answer what just happened at the Dragon here. A few more kills coming out. High may be able to get back in time. With Meteos pushing up mid so much, they are now adapting to the lanes.
Yeah, this game's going to be a lot more of that type of aggression we saw. Turret dives on both sides. Now turrets getting completely pressured as they're just really trading objectives back. Neither one of these teams is the type of team who generally likes to hold punches. They like to be the one that hits first, frequently and often.
Reggie backing in that top lane. See if he will decide to pick anything up. He does finish the Athene's Unholy Grail. Again, the double AP compositions actually from both sides this time.
Yeah, they have both fell in love with this strategy because generally these teams don't play late game. We look when TSM wins. They win 32-minute games. They lose the 40-minute games.
Right.
Cloud9 just plays short almost all the time because they know how to end games. Double AP is very good at that. You can hit your first couple item breakpoints and then just go before the enemy has enough time to really get ready for it.
Oh, Dyrus is just getting picked on all day right now. The wall goes down. That is going to be a good amount of slow with the silence coming out. Balls is forced to retreat.
But it's the lane pressure that Balls is putting on up there. 1v1, he did end up burning his flash there, knowing that Dyrus now has to go back, but just that alone is probably forcing the Odd One to come up there or risk just giving up the turret. Yeah, he's got to pull away. Actually, that's also allowing him to get off the red buff because Meteos and High are then pressing up to that spot. Cloud9 does this all the time. They get a weakness in one spot of the map and then they just hit it hard.
That was a really smart flash by Balls previously because the Requiem was up and that would have been something Dyrus could have taken advantage of. Reginald trying to press down in mid, finally getting some levels in that W as he went hard on Q to harass, and really maybe a reason that High decided to go for that needless Ardrod.
Yeah, and you can see that because Reginald's hitting a little harder now, High's got to worry about that lane.
Yep.
High didn't build any defensive itemization on Kennen. Sometimes you'll see them go for an Abyssal Scepter if they're against another AP lane, but just not the case this game for High. He's really rushing that needlessly large rod. And we've seen High be able to survive lanes in the past. It's not a bad choice. It just means Reginald can have a bit of his way with them.
There's that caster AD. Oh, Sneaky dodges the Crescendo. The cleanse comes out, but he's going to get it with the ulti. The Requiem doesn't take down Lemon. Special plays the final chords for Zyra to go down. They are not going to finish up any more on that, but a great pressure in middle by Reginald for a turret as well.
And yeah, you can see these guys just going at it. This bot lane wants to fight all the time. Wild Turtle did a great job to get out of Lemon Nation Stranglethorns, but at the same time, Sneaky made a play of his own. He comes out with a kill, whereas the support for TSM, X Special, gets a kill out of that one. Cloud9, you'd have to say they won that exchange.
Very even in CS, except for 126 to 114 between the AD carries, which is Sneaky coming out pretty big there. The items, not a big discrepancy, however, just those boots to keep Vayne safe. Wild Turtle knows he is a huge target. The Kennen is completely telling you you're going to get dove on.
Yeah. And I kind of want to touch back on the jungle that we talked about earlier with Meteos and the Odd One. That is more farm than you almost ever see the Odd One with. He's spending a large amount of time this game just farming his jungle so he can tank up and really try and keep pace with Meteos. 107 to 104 is an impressive score for the Odd One because Meteos generally just outfarms anyone. What this means, though, is Odd One hasn't had as much time in the lanes to gank, and it's really affecting TSM's overall game flow.
Also, with these kills, Meteos has helped to somewhat snowball his lanes with those 2 assists. one of those going to the odd one. And we talked about the fact that they don't have a tank. It may help them to bolster up into that spot. They need to get to that late game. Wild Turtle just on the outside, deciding to go back there. Special, very, very dangerous situation. He gets flashed on, frenzied, the repel and the turret.
You can just see the aggression from Cloud9 in an instant, but TSM also has an answer for this. TSM's losing a little bit of ground every time they're doing this because it's a turret for a turret and a kill. And it just means that TSM needs to be a little bit quicker on reacting to these things, or they need to make the moves quicker themselves.
Zanya's finally finished up onto high. Bloodthirster coming out onto Sneaky. Instead of that Infinity Edge, you want to get that maximum damage out of casting that either Q and your E. Let's see if they can continue here with this Dragon. It doesn't look like they're going to find any problems. That will be theirs, so they go for another one on the game. So all the turrets that are being matched, the 2 Dragons now for Cloud9, that's 27,000, a 3 gold lead. 3,000 gold lead.
Cloud9 is playing very solidly early on in this game. They're also approaching the items that they really care about. Also, that blue elixir that High has picked up means they really want to push the tempo quickly. We know that they are a mid-game team right now.
It's a big chunk of gold.
And they have a mid-game advantage at this point with the 2 Dragons and with the traded turrets. They might look to get down this middle area very quickly. If they can get down the outer shell, it means substantially more fights that Cloud9 could then force inside the TSM jump.
And we actually see Wild Turtle going for the Bloodthirster as well. Not the first time this weekend a Vayne has done that.
He's been going for the Bloodthirster this weekend instead of the Blade of the Ruin King. It just goes in with the whole TSM late game style that they want to get out of this game. I say late game style in the sense they're not going to play to stall for late game like a CLG, but they're going to build for it in case it gets there.
This turret looking like it's going to go down. A few more attacks here, but it is prepped, so maybe they'll keep it up. The Dragon was taken down recently. They're going to want that turret now, however. TSM taking down the bottom, and they're making sure they don't get caught out here. That was a pretty good position to go back for red and make sure nothing was happening.
And this game is about to get wide open with the middle turret here on about a hit from High, and TSM taking down the 3 outer turrets of Cloud9 as well. There is so much open space on this map for fights to happen. Knowing that Requiem and Paranoia are up for TSM means they can force generally anywhere, and also knowing Cloud9, how everyone on their team can force their own fights, means they're going to be fighting a lot as well. There's no turrets to protect people, and they both want to get their farm here, so we're going to see a lot of fights and contention.
Oh, High and Balls do not realize they walked over a ward getting here.
This is a trap.
Chat, we talked about things. If it takes longer than 15 seconds, you should probably get out of there. And look at the map. They are all congregating around that position, and it would have spelled bad news in a few more seconds.
Yeah, it might be right now, and the Odd One's trying to force in on this one, but it's a tough engage.
They go on to Balls. Now, both champions of Cloud9 have a speed steroid to get out of this. Balls looks like he could be safe, but High decides to flash in with Lemonation coming on the outside. Where is Reggie coming onto the fight? Special from the backside. Dyrus looks like he wants to get into this one. High with the Zanya's down. He is going to get bursted quick. The disengage pops up, and looks like TSM is actually going to be able to come out pretty big on this one. Reggie there finally gets hit up. Going to go ahead. Not throw out the wreck. He's going to hold it.
Yeah, this has just been a crazy fight. We knew this fight was open. Can they catch X Special? Because they're all trying to come in.
They know Meteos is coming from behind. That's why they didn't stop. No, the Odd One. Don't do that. He is going to back off. Tries to get the fear to completely discontinue that.
Well, that's the open field fights we were waiting for. We know that Cloud9's internal timer, you talked about the 15 seconds, is a little smaller. They actually started running away after about 5. And if we can see how this fight just got initiated on, if Cloud9 hadn't started running away right away, they wouldn't have actually been able to support this fight as well. That was a rare equalizer missed by Balls, and High ended up just crushing down Reggie. That was basically a 2v4 for the start of this fight. But a couple other things happened in this fight. Meteos just killed Wild Turtle on his way over. He caught him in a bad spot and just bursted him down. That's what swung it. It distracted the rest of TSM. Sneaky followed up with that ultimate, and it ends up giving Cloud9 the advantage in a fight which they were initiated on.
That gold gap closed just a little bit now. 9-6 in kills as TSM finds themselves a bit of something to put up on that board along with their 3 turrets. Special grabbing out 20-minute oracles. You see the same thing over on the Lemonation as we check him. He does not yet, but Lemonation and crew usually control the map with wards anyways. Those pink wards, what he goes for.
Yeah, also the boots of mobility on Zyra, because they know how open this map has become. He needs to be able to go from point A to point B as quickly as possible to just keep pace with where TSM is moving. It's 3 turrets to 3 now, Riv. And, you know, Meteos at 2-0-2 and huge amounts of tank itemization is really telling me Cloud9 is going to be looking for a dive fairly soon.
Going right in, Elimination on the left side. He's going to have to go all the way around, but it will be a sneak attack here coming up in the odd one. He got the stun could come out on Turtle, but will he get it out of odd one? The shield to be there. He gets the lock up, but is it coming again? Elimination just could not get the roots out to lock him down once more. Getting out of these fights.
High is just looking so powerful right now. After the double kill he got in the early game, he just 1v2'd right there, burned the Nocturne ultimate, and took down Wild Turtle, who, by the way, is 1-4 right now, and this is that Cloud9 mid-game spike that they are just going for.
22 minutes in, they are right knocking at the front door of TSM's base already. 57 seconds on the Dragon, I think, on the mind of Cloud9 right now, but look how they move around these pink wards that are actually placed by Elimination. They placed that and shifted towards mid, but always stayed there to utilize its ability to take out wards and utilize just its vision, because they aren't buying the oracles yet.
And this is just a very well-played, just like fast chess match in a sense, because so many turrets have been going down. Everyone has been initiating on each other, and it's just a matter of quickly calculating who has the advantage in these small fights, because Cloud9, anyone can fight. Even though High is looking for the team fights, he just showed how powerful he can be in a 1v2. Dyrus has been trying to farm up as much as he can. That side lane Karthus is not something we see much of. His Requiems are trying to keep pace, and Wild Turtle in particular has been the one who's been getting picked on the most. I think if Wild Turtle doesn't get going, Cloud9's going to win this game, and they want to die. 5-man Shockwave!
The Shockwave goes down, but so does the Locket of the Iron Solari. They mitigate quite a bit of damage on the next attack. Balls is tanking the turret for his team. He got the equalizer off there, but they are going to be backing out of this one now. Very, very scary there for Cloud9, and a great fight at the turret, but it's 2-1. Balls was the only one going down.
Yeah, it was a 4v5 right there, so despite a 5-man Shockwave that drew gasps from the crowd, they didn't have the immediate follow-up in damage. Dyrus could not get in range, Wild Turtle was not there, and now Cloud9 is not letting up, but this is a very dangerous place for both teams to be. They're going right onto the Dragon, 4v3, but low.
High still has his ultimate. It is going to be huge. They're going to try to once again initiate the fight. The Lightning Rush goes in.
Can you get him?
Trying to hit the Electric Surge. It will kill, but it does not in range.
And Meteos goes to a minion, gets the stun, can he get him?
Very nice play there. Cloud9 never giving up. They get one thing. They want more. Then they can stop.
Yeah, they've gotten 13 kills playing that way this game, and even though that was an incredibly risky move, or it felt risky because they were so low, they were in control the entire time. Cloud9 makes a lot of decisions, and very rarely are they the wrong ones. But here's another decision from TSM. They know that everyone on Cloud9 is immensely low right now. They're trying to 3-man this Baron. If Karthus could get in range, they could kill it even faster because Cloud9 is recalled. But Balls is on the hunt. He's looking for this. Let's see if he drops him down.
He just throws it in the den. There's not much you can do about that. Nice guy, Balls, trying to get out. It's going to be 4-on-1 here, and he will not be going anywhere.
Another quick decision. Cloud9 flashing in, doesn't get it. High flashes as well.
High tries to get into the fight. He throws on the Slicing Maelstrom. There's no way that's enough to lock up the team as they come in the too far away. But what they are doing is setting this baby up.
This game is crazy. TSM has been pushed back from the Baron, and now Cloud9 are the ones trying to get it. The odd one, though, is behind. There is a pink ward telling him he has not been spotted, and he does have flash up. X-Special is trying to give him vision over the top. Cloud9 may have to pull off this Baron, but is getting extremely low, and TSM is trying to initiate from the bottom.
He's got quite a bit of health on it. Dyrus from the backside. Wild Turtle dodges the chain of corruption. High into the wall. He goes down. The area of effect majorly down for both teams now. A very powerful Requiem. About 800 health between 3 members right now of Cloud9.
But the dodge from Meteos with his repel does not let Dyrus get the kill. The shutdown did come, 500 gold for actually Baron killing High. Let's check this out again. Dyrus moved in at the right spot. This was a forced move really by both teams going in. High did pick up that double kill before going down, and look at that dodge by Meteos. Then go into the blue buff to get a little bit of extra distance. Still unkillable on Elise.
2 sets of home guards already coming out, which means Cloud9 is going to own the map even more. Just regular tier 2 boots coming out on the side of TSM in an interesting build. You know, you see the AD carries can all be built the same way. Totally skipping crit on the AD caster as Sneaky builds Varus.
That's the Varus build. We see a lot of it over in Europe, actually. The Bloodthirster to Last Whisper build, since that game over in Europe is so mid lane focused, they really use the AD carry as a bit of a caster themselves, not necessarily the carry, but to nuke down the enemy so the mid can actually go and clean up. And that's exactly what Sneaky is going for right now. That last item could very well be an Infinity Edge later, so not really going for the attack speed yet. Varus does get a lot of attack speed from his passive, so that's a little bit of what Sneaky is relying on. Whereas you look at Wild Turtle, he's still trying to be now a bit of a split push Vayne, the static shiv helping him push back the lanes, but the real power of TSM lies between Reginald and Dyrus. They're both starting to hit their builds. Reginald has the death cap, which is very strong, not much magic because this has been built up by Cloud9 yet, and Dyrus, once he gets that Void Staff, is going to be crushing people with his ultimate.
There we go, on to Lemonation, but there's the rest of the team. Odd1 should be able to take a few hits here. That's why he wasn't too worried about giving him a little bit of harass as they move up for the fight. 45.5k to that 38, we'll say 39,000. So that's 6,500 gold lead for Cloud9 is completely finished items for them. As we look at some of those inventories, the reason they are up is because of those items.
And High is on the side, meaning he wants to die!
Goes in onto Dyrus. There's that condemn backwards we were talking about before. Kind of nullifies the slicing maelstrom, but again, everything Cloud9 does is just to do more.
And here they still have follow-up initiation. High gave them the window in which to take the turret, but TSM still has to be scared because Cloud9 has so much that they can throw at him.
Quickly taking down the turret. TeamSoloMid not even trying to split push this game. They have to put all 5 in the base to defend. Lemonation picking up the first one onto the Odd1. Sneaky onto a rampage. Looks like no, Lemonation gets a double kill onto that. They will continue the fight. Wild Turtle on the backside getting command protect, trying to keep safe as they just have to back off the inhibitor.
A 3-4-0 for Cloud9 because they had the follow-up initiation. High was still having a big presence in that fight without his slicing maelstrom, so great push by Cloud9. They are using their mid-game supremacy right now, extending their gold lead to 10,000, getting an inhibitor, making sure they're up 3 turrets. This is all going well for Cloud9.
And, you know, we talk about builds a little bit more. We look at Dyrus's Karthus. We saw Zamfira. He went for a bit of the same thing, but he didn't go for the Seraph. He went Rod into Cap and then into that Void. So we're not going to have the Rabadon's damage coming from Dyrus. He's going to try to be a constant nuisance in the fight.
Yeah, he's cheating his build a little bit here because he recognizes he doesn't have time to ramp up. In a perfect world for Dyrus, he was able to get his Rabadon's Death Cap and then build the Void Staff. But because this game has been so well accelerated by Cloud9, with so many dragons going down, with 9 turrets across the map, the game is too fast right now for him to finish that, and he needs the Void Staff sooner rather than later. So when Meteos dives in with that Locket and with that Negatron Cloak, Dyrus needs to be a threat, because right now Cloud9 isn't caring about him. They're diving through him, and Dyrus needs more power.
And in 2 lanes right now, if we look at this, TSM is up about an average of 30 CS for Reginald and Dyrus onto the lanes that they did face, but the communication and the unity of Cloud9 kind of nullifies that.
Exactly. TSM has been farming a little bit better, but that's because Cloud9 has been more objective focused. They've been getting more kills. They're still going to look to try and dive this one. The middle of TSM's base is already exposed. Maybe we'll see Cloud9 come around the side and try and force them off that way. Turns out Cloud9 is going to display a little bit of patience here because they know they have a pretty good lead built up already and don't want to make a mistake.
It's that we're pushing a pushed lane. We have it past River in the top side with another one coming and Dragon. Let's allow them to kind of farm up, or I think they're going to go top and make sure this Baron doesn't get taken out.
Yeah, we're about 30 minutes in, which is nearing the end of the game if we're thinking about the way these 2 teams play against each other. This fight could happen at any moment. Cloud9 is looking for stuff. They're all posturing. There's the equalizer!
Oh, he throws it down. It's going to be the exit, and they have to walk over it. Dyrus is in the middle. It's exactly where he wants to be. Locket of the Iron Solari comes out.
Sneaky!
Everybody's trying to disperse. Double kill coming in for Sneaky. Again, Lemonation picks one up for himself. Doing good things for the team. Doesn't take anybody but Sneaky on the triple.
The Locket of the Iron Solari with the scrap shield from Ball saves him from Dyrus' ultimate, and that's a 4 for 2. And since there are super minions pushing and X Special is the only one alive, Cloud9's going to look to end it on this push.
Definitely got his work cut out for him in this best of 5 series. Game 1 looks to be in the hands of Cloud9 in one more Nexus turret. And the HP of the Nexus. Ball's still alive, could go down here. Gets himself away from the attack. They will be able to drop X Special. That's an overall quadra in the extended fight for Sneaky. And the Nexus in Game 1 of the NALCS Finals.
That was a great game. And a great start for Cloud9 in this series. They're already pumped up. They need to make sure to keep this momentum going through because 24-11 in only a 31-minute game that was extremely action-packed. And we can only hope for more of that as the series continues, Rip.
Everything in the beginning was kill for kill, turret for turret, gold for gold, up to 200 gold. Then it increased to 400. Then it sat at 2K, and TSM couldn't grab it back.
You can see TSM still in post-game discussion mode. They talked yesterday about the way they're dealing with things now. When things aren't going well in games, they analyze them in the game. That game ended rather quick, so they're still stuck in the analyzing phase right now. They need to make adjustments for Game 2, because as you said, back and forth, trade for trade, and eventually Cloud9 just gained the upper hand because they were making faster moves, better moves, and executing more.
A lot of the picks and bans there had a huge role coming into that game. And really, I think it was for TSM with Kennen getting picked out, right, for high.
Yeah.
It's kind of not something that they faced. So almost the bans that they let them get were something that they weren't used to, the tendencies they're not used to seeing, and that's sometimes even harder to play against.
The picks and bans between these two teams are fascinating.
It is.
Only because
fascinating
Cloud9
and fast.
has, yeah, and Cloud9 picks faster than anyone, by the way, but because the size of their champion pool, and also if we shrink it down to see how small their champion pool has actually been against TSM this year, it means TSM doesn't have much experience playing against their other team compositions.
Absolutely. But we're going to send it over to Kobe and Freak for a breakdown of Cloud9's Game 1 win.
Thank you very much, Riv. We are here, and that Game 1 win was very interesting because it started out a little bit slowly, and then High went crazy.
Yeah, Cloud9, like Jat said in the game, they were making trades turret for turret. TSM would answer, but Cloud9 would get turret for a turret and a kill. So they slowly built up this kill lead that then pushed them over the edge in the team fights.
And early on, all those kills went on to High. He rushed that Zhonya's Hourglass. His first item, aside from the Doran's Blade, was a needlessly large rod. He started the game basically with 80 extra ability power, and time and again he would turn fights or win them by himself. And in fact, one of our first clip actually is...
Second clip is that.
Second clip.
Before we get to that, let's talk about the other thing Cloud9
right.
control, which is dragons.
Yeah.
They do a very good job of controlling the dragons. We mention it every single time, but it seems really spooky how TSM actually went for the dragon because they had a Karthus up top, so they thought they had extra damage that was going to come in and help them win a 4-on-4. Cloud9, as soon as TSM start this dragon, cut him off. So let's pull up this dragon clip before we get to the high power that he got. TSM are starting up this dragon because Karthus is up top. He can Requiem down. We'll be able to take this one. Let's roll the clip through, and we can see Cloud9 cut off the bottom lane of TSM. Even though it's 4 versus 3 here, so much damage went to X Special, and X Special missed his crescendo that he has to pay for that one with his life. Sneaky, one last auto attack before flashing away to get out of that one meant that Cloud9 with 3 members were able to trade 1 for 1, grab a first blood, and stop that dragon so that they could return there later and grab that one.
And that was actually a really cool play by Sneaky, too, because it felt like he was caught out. He was kind of alone there. He said, oh, wait, no, Special's really low, and turned back in the middle of 3 enemy champions, shot him, and then flashed away, buried the counterattack damage, or buried the Requiem at the very end there. And like I was like, oh my god, you're going to die for getting that kill, but it actually wasn't him who went down. And I think Sneaky in general for that team doesn't get a lot of credit because he's not generally the flashy playmaker. Aside from Ash Arrows, he's kind of just, he's there in the background, kind of playing a crowd control role. And Sneaky, you just saw right there and throughout kind of the game as well, Sneaky did a really good job, I think, that game.
Yeah, and that fight opened up the door for High on his Kennen. And you can get to the first double kill right after that dragon fight. He roamed down. That's where he got his power spike that you're talking about.
Yeah, I actually thought Hai was in that fight because it was such a convincing victory. And then you're like, no, Hai's not in that. I was like, no, but I thought he was. Oh, no, that wasn't him at all.
Yeah.
It was actually undermanned.
So let's pull up the second clip here. And this is after Hai's gotten a whole bunch of double kills. He's so strong right now. Even though TSM want to make use of their global, they bring in Odd One here to 2 versus 1 Hai with Wild Turtle. Because Hai already got the harass down under Wild Turtle, he's going to win a 2 versus 1 situation here. Let's roll this one through, and we'll see how he pulls it off. The ultimate, even though there's a cleanse for Wild Turtle, enabling him to get out of the Maelstrom, he goes right back in and goes down to it. Requiem goes off, Paranoia goes off. Well, he does not care. Hai still comes out ahead in that.
It was really well played, too. He actually noticed that he had 2 marks of Storm on Wild Turtle, saying, if I hit W, you will get stunned, and I got a free shot with Thundering Shuriken.
Yeah,
that was awesome.
Very well played by the entire team of Cloud9, not just Hai, though. They all had really good rotations.
Yeah, it's what we kind of talked about with this game, where they take a little bit and they take a little bit more. And it's always been something that I've tried to keep in the back of my mind for how is Cloud9 so successful with their tower dives? Because when they didn't pick Zac all the time and they weren't picking Jarvan all the time, I was like, well, how are you engaging? Like Meteos is on Nasus or he's on Elise. He's not on a hard engaged champion. How are they still doing it? And we were actually seeing Hai would flank around over the Wolf camp and like go in with the ultimate and burn the ulti just to get TSM to run away, just to get control over a turret. And it was like, oh, these really cool moves where you flank or do other crazy things to get map control. They've done a lot of really cool things this game.
And they still had that crowd control from the bottom lane that they like to bring with the Varus combo.
Yeah, so very well played game there by Cloud9, taking the game 1 win, but it's a best of 5. They need 2 more over the next 4 games. Now we've got to take a quick break, but when you return, TeamSoloMid and Cloud9 face off in round 2 of the championship fight.